Hello, welcome. This is MTG Grinders, and we're doing standard FNM.
We should.
I'm Lewis, and that's Trent all the way over there. And well, we lost round 2.
Yeah, we did. Technical difficulties.
Someone who's supposed to press play didn't press play.
Cohen's inability to press record.
And so we're straight into round 3. And who have we got on the left?
We have Bob, also known as Jacob Tingley. He's like the part-time magician of Bendigo. He's somewhat of an okay player. And we have Darren on the right, playing a pretty awesome list. I'm lucky enough to be friends with a couple of pretty potent Magic players in the Melbourne Magic scene, and one of those players, James Fazzolari, sent me this list. It's Esper mid-range, running 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Monastery Mentors. I think it's got 4 Tassigers. This thing is awesome.
That sounds spicy.
Yeah.
You happen to be responsible for providing both of these decks.
Yeah, also Bob rocked up to mine at like 20 past 5 and said, "Hey, make me a deck." So I was sure, okay, I'll do that for you. But yeah, it's so this is pretty much just Abzan Reanimator versus an Esper midrange, and actually pretty cool matchup. Not something that you just generally get to see.
This sounds like it's going to be a pretty decent matchup. So what we've got is Darren led with a Thoughtseize.
Some probably the 2 best lines that I think both decks can have. Scryland into Wayfinder, and obviously just 1 land into Thoughtseize. It's pretty, it's kind of where you want to be.
And Darren's doing what this deck does, which is hurt itself.
But it's got plays like Seeker of the Way and stuff to get its life back. Seeker of the Way, Sorin. It's got copies of main deck Brumaz. It's pretty, I love it. I think this deck, it's very hard to play at 100%. I found this deck to be very hard. It's a lot of different individual deck decisions. Individual decisions when it comes to the deck.
So you find it's a deck that's really good to sit down and
play. It's great fun.
A good few matches.
Absolutely. Yeah. It can just go off and just make a metric ton of guys, or it can just kind of take the Marty route where it's just like, I'm going to stick a Seeker of the Way, I'm going to kill you guy, I'm going to kill you guy. And then obviously you've just got the power of Reanimator. And it just gets a cog turning, and then it just keeps going.
Now we can see Bob's doing he's got his hand revealed, the cards that Darren knows about. Something that you don't do at a higher level tournament. This is FNM, and these 2 are mates. Yeah,
these two are best buds. I did notice before that Bob also managed to steal my playmat for the night, or one of them. So he's good like that. Bob's a good guy.
He didn't fill you in on this particular detail.
Bob doesn't fill many people in on what's going on. He's rather an elusive creature. But very good.
I haven't seen what his other 2 cards are, but he's hoping to land a whip. I would presume.
Yeah, the deck's got 4 copies of main deck Siege Rhino. I think it's got 3 whips, a couple of Commune with the Gods. We would have seen Commune there. So
he's got probably some pretty good live plays for his next turn.
Yeah, absolutely. He does have the best card in the deck in his hand, Soul of Theros. I don't know if you've ever played with the card in these.
I've never actually played with it, but I have played against it a lot in Limited.
Limited, yeah, okay. So you didn't win those games.
I did not win the games where it made an appearance, no.
Yep. Well, we see Wayfinder coming in for 1. Soul of Theros in this is just busted. He is so good. The ability to just make a board of Hornet Queen, with a Hornet Queen and 4 apprentices, and then just come in for 17 lifelink first strike death touch is. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. You don't generally look back there. So
Bob's these 2 cards that he's got revealed in his hand are a pretty good late game combo.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's pretty gas. Generally not, excuse me, where you want to be when it comes to having cards in your hand right now as Reanimator. You'd rather have them in the bin, but you'll take what you can get. I mean, at least he's got cards in his hand.
And he's not
Look at that guy.
He's not really under pressure either.
Who's that guy?
Who's that guy on the right?
Yeah,
this new guy that came along.
That's a pretty good guy.
It's a pretty good new guy.
I think he's a spicy meatball.
The old mentor, tokens with prowess.
Yeah,
that's just powerful.
I hope we get to see something a little cooler. No, it doesn't have it. There's another spicy couple of cards about God's Willing. in this Esper list. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So just
that's not something that I'm sure most people will be expecting.
No,
playing against those colours.
No, it's a complete blowout. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if Darren just gets the God's willing there. Gets another dude. The Wayfinder can't attack.
That could have been such a powerful play if he had it.
Yeah. There's 2 copies in the main. I think there's one more on the board. Ooh, another bro.
There's another
lots of bros in this deck. This deck's all about.
We can see Bob's sort of taking a bit of a control plan here. He's got the removal for Darren's threats. He's beating down with
the Wayfinder's getting the job done. The Wayfinder generally does a lot of damage. He was pretty good when it came to getting in for 1 and 2 against like the blue-black lists of like pre-dragons and that. Like Wayfinder would actually just get 4, 5, 6 points of damage done before he even got hit by a Crux of Fate or just a terrible barbland.
I find Wayfinder is just this nice piece of glue that keeps even like the less dedicated Abzan with decks. Like it's something similar to what I was playing that day on this day. Like he just keeps all the pieces together.
Oh,
like he
interacts
well with Tasiga. He's a creature for Abzan charm counters.
Yeah.
He's got so many uses.
He's brilliant. He really is. We'll see Whip of Erebos coming down for Bob, the crucial piece to the plan.
Now he's got the Hornet Queen in the graveyard.
He's got a Doomwake Giant.
He's got the Doomwake Giant, which can be good against tokens.
And he's very good against Mentor and his buddies. Looks like a bit of an uphill battle as Darren hasn't been able to apply any pressure or much pressure. Bob's still sitting at 20, and the cogs are turning for the Reanimator list, and this is just typically never where you want to be against the Reanimator list.
And Bob's chumping is going to get a life because his Wayfinder's got life.
Yeah, Wayfinder's done his job now. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys.
And he's got a few lines of play in his turn. He can play Soul if he wants. He can, if he's got an untapped land, he can just cast his Hornet Queen. Or he's got any number of cards in his graveyard he can just whip back.
Yeah, he's got 5 creatures in his yard. Obviously not going to whip back a Sylvan Caryatid, but he's got Doomwake Giant, the second Hornet Queen. I believe he did list was only playing 2, and then the Wayfinder as well as the Corsair, which are all good targets. Queen Bee comes in. There's a bit of noise. Suspects the bees. 4/1/1 death touches. This dramatic uphill fight for the Esper player now for old Dern. He's in a pickle.
Now Hornet Queen, who has haste more often than you'd expect when she's casting Standard.
Yep. The amount of times I've seen people whip back Queens and say, "Okay, go," and then go, "Oh, yeah, okay, I just did that."
Now, we can see that Bob had the 7th land. What do you think of the line of play instead of whipping back the Queen, just using all of his mana to cast the one in his hand?
Yeah, I like playing the card from your hand a lot more. Even if he only had 6, just to play the Soul of Theros to get it in your graveyard. Generally, playing from the yard is better against some decks, and playing from your hand is better than some decks. And I don't think that unless he has a suspicion that Darren's just going to blow him out and be able to just take control of the game. Generally, I think in this matchup you'd rather play from your hand, and then whenever you need to, you just activate Whip.
Yeah, I feel like a matchup like this at this stage of the game can be sort of very grindy. And
that's right.
In the long game, I feel Jacob's deck has an edge.
Oh, for sure. This game doesn't go. This Esper list does have the ability to go deep. It certainly does. But Hornet Queen, if you don't have Barb Blade, if you don't have one of the very small answers that the Esper list does have, it's going to be so hard for this Esper list to even take off. To get anywhere. As we see,
we just saw Darren trade with a couple of Hornet.
Yeah, the worst thing. You never want to be in that position where you actually have to trade your mythic rare creatures
for a 1/5 of a card.
Yeah, and Bob doesn't even care. Bob's like, okay, I'll put 2 in front of the decent guys. I'll leave the other guy back. Leave the token.
He got a life point out of the exchange.
Missed his untap on that Whip. Doesn't untap now. That's pretty crucial. Good old Bob.
I think in FNM at the lower rules level, something like that.
Oh, it would untap regardless. Yeah. It's more of a crack at Bob than anything.
Yeah, it's something to remember because if you miss that at high level,
there's
play, you can
some people
really hurt yourself.
Some people will ping you on it for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a state of play where you go to untap everything you control. It's unless stated otherwise. So.
No, Jacob, no, he's a decent player, but he just doesn't play as often.
Oh
as
no.
So, yeah,
Bob's a pretty busy. Bob's a pretty busy guy. Magic's
so.
definitely not up there in his career options or anything like that.
Yep.
Bob actually did fantastic at the GP Melbourne last year.
Oh yes.
As a like a non-full-time player, he did take it pretty seriously. He brewed up a pretty spicy Naya hexproof list, and into round 5, he was 5-0. He was doing better than anyone else from Bendigo. He was thumping people. Like he was doing a really good job.
Now for a guy who I remember that morning, he'd been out for drinks the previous night. He was nearly falling asleep on the table before the day started. You whipped him into gear. Time to get a coffee. Some guy
ran and got him a coffee during the players' meeting, and got told to sit down in front of everyone. But that's all right.
And then from then he just put out a really good result.
Yeah. No, look, Bob's a good. Bob's a fantastic dude, and he's, like I said, he's a very prominent player when he wants to be. He wears back a Corsa here, which is...
I like this play when he's got a fetch land on the battlefield.
Sure.
I don't think this is the best play in this game, but I do like the idea.
That Corsa's not in the graveyard, mate.
Of peeking at the top of your library when you've got a fetch on the battlefield.
Oh! Now there's some tech. Whip back my Corsa, very obscure kind of attack. Snap block the Tasiga, Bile Blight the Tasiga.
Now, the Corsa should be in the exile zone because of Whip, but
this is a solid play. Like that's a very good play from Bob to actually just see that, because I mean we're sitting here, obviously we didn't know that he had the Bile Blight in hand, but it seemed very obscure. But to actually be able to do that was very, very good. Oh golly.
He's Darren's traded another card with a token.
With a 1/5. But this is just what he has to do, unfortunately. Yep. He has copies of Anticipate, Dig Through Time, and obviously more Tasigas to find the card advantage that he wants. I believe it only plays a Narset as well. A one of Narset Transcendent as well. So the ability to buy back any of your amazingly powerful, removal and draw spells. So it's like I said, this deck is super sweet. It goes, it's got a ton of mileage in it, but this just doesn't seem like a deck that it wants to be fighting game one.
Yeah.
Just with the strong, I mean, I suppose the slow start of Darren and just this really, really brutal end game of Hornet Queen. I mean, Hornet Queen just answers so many decks, and this is just, unfortunately, this is just one of them. Obviously, actually,
we see Bob shuffling away the Whip of Erebus.
I don't think he cares too much for the second copy.
Yep. And that's fair enough. Now, I don't think did he get a land out?
7 land.
He did.
He had 8. He must have failed to find.
He failed.
He wouldn't. I can understand that. Bob didn't make this list, so he wouldn't know the actual numbers and trimmings of this list.
But he's only got 1 planes on the battlefield, and he cracked Windswept Teeth. So you would think that he'd have at least a forest.
There's not a forest exiled. No. Okay. Maybe he just wanted to shuffle it away. He didn't care.
Yeah, he was just an oversight.
I've got you dead, Darren. I've got you dead, Darren. I don't care. But this is tough. This is not where the like I said, this is not where Esper wants to be. This kind of deck.
No.
Going for the soul by the looks of it. I'm going to play a huge bro.
Yep. And now Darren's picking up to read it.
I'm going to read huge bro.
Now his the ability is pay 6, and all creatures you control get +2/+2 lifelink and first strike.
That's it. That's it.
You can, if it's souls in your graveyard, you can pay 6 and exile the soul.
That's it.
To get that effect again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, unless Darren has something that can exile the soul away,
he's only got
Murderous Cut, which does not get the ability away, unfortunately.
It does get rid of it. It puts it in the graveyard. It gives his monk. It gives him another monk token. It gives him another. He really needs a Dig Through Time or something of gas off the top here. That looked like a Disdainful Stroke, which is actually probably the premier card in his deck to fight this deck. But unfortunately,
it's a bit too late.
It looks like a little too late. He only gets in for 5 there, as opposed to drawing a dig and then kind of mini comboing off and getting in for a metric ton or a small ton.
Now, Jacob's got a few routes to victory here.
Yeah.
They can make.
Yeah.
Looks like he's. Is he going to whip something back? Yep.
It looks like he's going to go for the Doomwake Giant, which seems really, really good. Just cleans out the tokens.
Puts another body on the field to attack with. For
puts a huge guy on. He gets in for 5, drops Darren to 5, goes back to 25. Doomwake Giant just so solid in these decks, just from his ability to do exactly that. What did we see? Barbed, Disdainful Stroke, Barbed. Some good draws, but just a little too late, maybe.
Yeah, I'd say so. This is this hasn't really been. It's a poor matchup game one, as you said earlier, but I don't think Darren's drawn the right cards in his deck.
Not in the right order.
In the right order.
No.
As well.
Whipback Soul. Yep, that'll happen. Mentor. It bites the dust.
You don't really want to be chomping with a monster mentor.
No. Darren falls to 4. And Bob just says go.
And I feel like we're not too far from a scoop here, but Darren's still got
another Tessigar.
He's still got some play.
He's on 4. He's still alive.
Yep.
That's the main thing. He's still in. He's still here. I mean, it's very hard to beat these lists, but arguably, Bob is running out of gas. I mean, he's only got a Hornet Queen. He's got nothing to whip back. Actually, he's got a Wayfinder, which gives it a lot of gas.
Which can give him some gas.
Yeah, and he's still on 23. Not to say that he's running out. He's going to die, but Darren's still alive.
He's got an evasive threat on the battlefield, like a 1/1.
Yeah.
Darren,
yeah, the B
Darren will have to trade a card with if
the
he
B
wants to deal
is doing the work,
and he's got the ability to get up to 8 more or 9 more carrying the queen itself.
Hornet Queen is such a pro. Replaced by Dragon Lord Ataka in the new Dragons, but yeah, it's just rather unfortunate because I am a huge fan of bees. Like,
I could see the reason for both in the 75.
Or access to both.
Access to both,
for sure. I can agree with that.
They both attack on a different axis.
There's a stroke. That's a good one.
Alright, that deals with half of the Hornet Queen. Now for the whip side.
Yeah. I do believe that Darren had sideboard copies of Erase, if I'm correct.
Yep.
So
he's probably thinking about his sideboard right now.
I would believe so. Darren is a pretty prominent player as well. We actually have access to a lot of solid players in Bendigo. Unfortunately, for a lot of players in Bendigo, they also have lives, money and things like that. So it just can't be a full-time job. Unfortunately, Darren missed his crack for the fetch there.
He's cracking
because he could have cracked it in the end step and then activated this Tessigar, because he would have had access to 4 land, which is a little unfortunate. Surprisingly a little loose from Darren, because Darren, you hit that 100% at home. Every time he just punish you for it. But what do we got? 4?
That's what can happen here, though. Oh, he's
activating now. Okay. Bob, give me the card that I need. Well, he has to give him a Sorin.
Sorin or a Disdainful Stroke.
Disdainful Stroke, yeah, sure. They're both pretty good. However, knowing the fact that he's on 2.
Bob doesn't think about it for that one.
Okay, thanks, guy.
Alright, and here we have a scoop. We'll come back for game 2.
Absolutely.